They're gonna
Yeah!
copyright claim the shit out of me.
Yeah! Wait, they already gave you a copyright?
Dude, they copyright claimed every fucking stream I've done this week.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, what's up, everybody, and welcome to
Good evening,
Last of
Christine.
Us.
Hello, Carrie. Hello, Cement Shoes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I guess Monday night or morning. Jesus Christ, I'm so messed up. That's what happens when you don't stream. Welcome to Morning Kills, and I guess it's gonna fall on a Monday, because that's just the way it's been.
Yes, welcome to Morning Kills, and anybody who's been paying attention to Twitter, if you could update them on Bitchy Unicorn, that'd be great.
Yes. Bitchy is fine. Um, you know.
We don't
Lady.
need to know what you think of her physically. Is she okay?
Oh yeah, she'll be fine.
Well, now you
So,
say she will be fine. I just said don't use the word fine. And then you're like, I'll use it again. I'll use it again. It's fine. It's fine.
So, before I get into this review, I wanted to bring up something that you and me run into, and it's been an issue of when people
I
start.
would rather walk into it. I try not to run, but go on.
So, people prejudge something.
You
And
don't say.
have you seen the reviews? So I saw one from I'm not gonna say the group, but we know them, and they were like, "Hey, Carmen," they were like,
Hello,
"Oh,
Carmen. Are you saying that it was a very menacing review?
it was very menacing." I
Okay.
guess it's a newer reviewer
Okay.
for them, a beautiful lady, of course. You know how they do, and
Okay.
this is why I'm bringing this up briefly, because we've had this happen before. Oh God, my lighting is terrible. I'm gonna turn on my backwards lampshade. So, yeah. So, they've been going. Oh, the first episode was mid,
Mid.
or yeah, or average, as the kids like to say. And I'm like, did we watch the same thing?
I don't know. That sounds capped, as the kids say.
Also, they were like, this second episode was at a slow pace, but good. So it's hilarious because we see this in the media too, and it's funny that certain people put on this facade to be against the the mainstream media, but they review just like them.
Well, yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, there were woke things said, but this show isn't, and it's a good show. But if I say it's not, then the people that follow me and the average person that I want new subs from, they're going to call me out on my bullshit. So I'm going to softball my ideas.
The show is so woke that before the episode started, like, I think every episode's going to have a little prologue like that goes back to 2003, at least that's what it seems like. They said to bomb the whole city.
Oh yes, and
Super woke.
we're going to jump into all this because one,
before we jump into it, I have a general question for you.
Ooh, for General Zod, shoot.
Yep, general question. Was there anything in the episode that they changed from the video game that made it worse? Because I watched the little interview thing at the end of the show, and they said the whole thing where the fungus can talk to other zombies through the ground is a show invention.
So I would say, and this is the first time I'll probably say this, and I don't know how many people out there have watched video game adaptations, and this is perfect for Morning Kills because this episode was creepy as fuck. Sorry, going off into a
It
tangent.
was.
I'm drinking coffee. It's called The Black Death. It really puts pep in my step. Anyways, so you know it's strong. Like I only drink one cup of this. I haven't need to use Monster or anything. I switched to water. But anyways, uh, there were changes, and as we break down the episode, I'll highlight where it kind of uh, deters from the game. But I'm gonna say, and I 100% agree with the inside of the episode. And if you guys like watch the episode, don't turn it off. Like go past the credits scene and watch the interviews because this is like the opposite of the Game of Thrones interviews we got. Everything they say makes perfect sense.
Oh my god.
It's like watching, like I used to love watching inside the episodes because they did this for several shows. It's like an HBO thing.
Yeah.
And normally the creators, this is how the talk is supposed to go. Like, oh, there's a change, and they give you like justifiable reasons that make sense in your mind as you hear the director or the creator talk. Um, and I was like, yeah, that does make sense because in the game there were spores. And for a video game, that works because you have to walk around. So it's more dangerous when there's like these things in the air and you got your gas mask on and you're trying to fucking walk through this area. And they do it from the POV of the character. So they switch the angles. So it's like you're walking through and it's really,
Oh, so typically the game is played in third person, but for those parts they switch you to first person, so you're just looking out the
yeah,
gas mask.
so you're like seeing out of the gas mask and getting an obstructed view. And this works for a video game, but when you're watching a show, not so much because people are going to question it. Like, why are the spores localized? Which is what he said. And I always thought about it in the game. Like, if these spores are being shot in the air, why is it just like contained to certain areas? And
No,
that's for
no,
gameplay.
that was the only thing that I didn't like about the explanation, right? He's like, well, when you're in a video game, it's more reasonable. I was like, when I play video games, I am envisioning that it's real life. Like when I know that this stuff isn't real, like there are no real zombies. And this, like, playing through this game, since I've never done it before, seems like it's very similar to playing through Dead Space.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Only
Right, it's the same atmosphere. You're dealing with creatures all over the place. But when he said that in a video game it's more reasonable, I was like, no, it's not. Like you created a mechanic for the video game, and people just accepted it. And I would think that like writers are smart people. There's going to be some way that they can find out to put these spores into the air, but still keep them localized. Like you can come up with something. People can have multiple theories so that nothing is, set in stone, and you can be like, well, it could work this way, it could work this way, it could work this way. And they
but
decided to go a different route because the spores aren't going to exist at all to infect anybody, but they created this underground network.
which for the gist of the game, overall, I think the change works, at least personally for me, better than in the game
This
because
and that
in the
is why I
game,
specifically asked the question whether or not it makes it worse.
no, for me it works better because in the game the
Yeah,
spores thing was cool, but they had no connection to each other. So when they had this telepathic sense, I, I think their change makes sense creatively and how they're grounded in it more real because even in the game I did question like how are they all linked because like you said it was spores, and you're right, it's cool in the game, but I found I like this change better because just of how they link up, how the creatures communicate, because they do have a tentacle kind of thing in the game, but it's more of like a hive mind thing, but they're like shooting out spores or something. I think that this explains it better because it's how plants work in real life. And I think it works better in how they can get the message that shit is going down in one place as opposed to like there was no explanation how these creatures just got from point A to point B and knew exactly how you were in the game. It didn't like when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. But when you're playing the game, you're like, like you said, you put yourself in the world, especially if they do a good job. So you're not thinking about this. But now watching the show, I go, you know what? That didn't really make a whole lot of sense how like 50 of these things fucking swarmed me from out of nowhere. And
Okay.
once again,
So
gameplay.
continue. So
Yeah, gameplay.
do you want to go through this episode in order, or do you want me to tell you the one major gripe that I had? But I can hold on to it because I will not forget when we get to that point in the show because it's toward the last third or so.
Yeah, hold on to that because I'm going to sort of break it down. And I guess spoiler warning, but I give it a day so that everybody has a chance to
I mean,
watch it. If you haven't watched it,
it's been like half a day, but like, hold on. You keep talking. I will make a banner that scrolls on the bottom.
so first thing, let's start off with the beginning and the intro part. I like these intros and I hope that they
Dude, they're great.
continue.
Like, I had no idea what was going on at all. I was like, okay. And then it says Jakarta, and I was like, oh, well, they referenced Jakarta in the first episode in the beginning. They were like, something's going on over there. And that was all they said.
Yeah, PB talked about this question. I'm going to ask you, Zod, if Bitchy looked like a zombie, would you kiss her? Tess, would you kiss her? No. Unless I was bit
Yeah,
and I was already fucked, in which case it doesn't
I see
matter.
how it is.
No, that's for any zombie kind of situation.
There. Now people know. Spoilers, people. We talked about the show in general without really giving anything away for 10 minutes. So if you don't want spoilers for The Last of Us, get the fuck out.
So, uh, so the first thing was
The
them
scientist.
mentioning it, and the scientist. And the thing I like about this was this went in a different direction. Like I've been waiting for the woke shit because I know Neil Druckmann and I've played the second game. But he's a very smart man, clearly, and wants people to like this show. So he took this in a completely different direction, and it was a realistic direction. And first off, this
Hello,
lady's
Ice Queen.
Hey, Ice Queen, what's up? Welcome to Morning Kills, and today we are talking horror, Last of Us, episode 2. And I'm going to say this was probably more intense than 1, to be honest. And we'll get to that. I'm going through the episode in order, kind of highlight things we like, we don't like. We're going to chat it out with you guys. But anyways, so um, this lady like is brought in. Now picture for a second, folks, if say the United States, what up, Aaron Cooper? Say the
Hello,
United
Aaron.
States brings in their top scientists, right? And they ask this guy, and this is the military, which makes
World
this
War Z.
funnier. So the
So
military
just like
general,
World War Z, right?
yeah, the military general's like, "Hey, lemon pie." He's like,
Hey, Lemon
"Yeah,
Pie.
yeah, hey, we don't know what's going on. We need some counsel." And
Right?
this lady takes a look. There's a little tentacle thing. She pulls it out, drops it. You know, you're fucked when the scientist lady is scared. They take her back
Yep.
to like this motel thing and they're talking with her and she says nothing. He's like, is there a medicine, is there a cure, can you work on a vaccine? And she goes, no, I can't. You're fucked. Bomb everything.
Yep.
When a
Wipe
scientist
it out.
tells
Napalm.
when a scientist tells you to bomb everything, I think that is more effective than in a lot of zombies shows. Like, I never got that concept. They just like jump to like, you know, blowing shit up and stuff like that. You never get from like, you go from point A to point Z, and they're kind of doing like B, C, D, everything like in the middle, so we understand kind
No,
of
and
the escalation.
like, just so everybody gets what's going on there, she's also committing suicide and murdering her entire family. Like,
Family,
she's
yeah.
not leaving the city. She said, kill all of us. Kill yourself too, General. You're in the city right now, kill yourself. You don't know if you're infected because of the way that the fungus works. And then she asked the most important question, which was, who bit her?
That was another thing that very few shows do. So she, as you would expect from somebody who works in those kinds of fields, they track down the infection, right? The disease. So they
Yep.
were trying to find out, like, okay, is it contained here or how far did it get out? And this kind of gave me shades of the zombie apocalypse we faced. Remember, there was a theory that it came from another country and someone was in a plane and they brought it over here. Remember that whole thing? And you got
Sure.
pulled off of YouTube and people were saying, no, no, we can't blame other countries because we're the US and we're unbiased.
You gotta love that China virus.
So it's kind of funny that they set up the premise like that in this show. And I'm going, wow, very ballsy, Neil. Like, you are you're really going for it because it's implied here too that this came from another place. So my putting it together is that somebody left quarantine and it slowly just bounced from place to place, and that's why when we start the first episode, it was taking a little bit throughout the day to make its way over to us. So I like how they kind of are giving people like a background. If you've never played the games, this is a really good representation of the
Well, no,
game.
I wasn't expecting to get anything like that. Like after the first episode where they do the 20-year time jump, I was like, okay, now we're just going to constantly be in 2023 and the apocalypse. And then the episode starts, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I was like, why are we back here?
and
And then went through the whole scene, and I was like, whoever's directing, I assume that there's one director for the whole episode. They did a great job with that scene. Yeah,
so here's the
they did a
funny
great
part.
job. They didn't do such a great job later.
So here's the funny part, and I'm glad you bring that up because that segues me to who the director is. Was Neil Druckmann himself. I give Neil.
Oh, okay.
How many times have we ever seen a game director direct anything and it
I
comes
don't
out
know, but
good?
that would. I feel like he forgot his own rules that were stated in the scene later when they're being chased by the clicker.
Hey, lemon pie, our favorite pie. What's up? So,
Didn't you say hi to Lemon Pie already?
yeah, but they said hi with the wavy hand. I felt obligated to say hi again.
Ah.
So, yeah, I thought it was like I thought for like a first time, this is his first time directing anything, his own show. He did a pretty damn good job. Now, I don't know what flaw you're going to point out, but besides that, I think we could both agree this is a pretty solid episode.
Oh man. I mean, the one flaw that I have is it's not necessarily a real flaw, but when you have a conversation about what you're doing in the show and you explain essentially the parameters that you have to follow, and then you like go over and above what you're supposed to do, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but we'll get to that.
So, first off, we get to a very hilarious scene with Ellie and Joel and Tess, and they are trying to figure out what they're going to do with Ellie. This is actually in the game as well. So kudos. Pretty much shot for shot scene. I'll get to where it changes because you wouldn't notice it unless you've played the game. But uh, I liked this whole back and forth. I like the fact with Joel and Ellie's relationship, much like the game, they're kind of building it out, and Joel can't stand anything about this. He hates this idea, and he is like, we need to go back. The battery, everything is not worth it. He's like, fuck it. He's like, this girl is infected. What are we doing? And I kind of like the fact that Joel, it kind of would mirror anybody in the audience who's watching this. Like, he's the person saying what we're thinking, right? Because at this
Yeah,
point,
pretty much.
they have no direction, right? They only know to get to this one place, but
No,
they have no
they
idea
had
why
a
they're doing
very
this.
simple mission, and then once they get to this one place, everyone's
Oh,
dead.
but we'll
What's
get
in
there. We'll get
between?
there.
We're not. There's something in between. I was
There's a
paying
lot in
attention
between.
and wasn't paying attention while I was watching this episode, so I'm sure I probably missed a thing or two. So, reveals coming.
So,
Spoiler alert.
so we get a nice little back and forth, and Ellie, I like how she says, God, I promised Tess, and the first people, I already blabbed my mouth. I thought that was a funny little, like, uh, a little throw-in thing because you always wonder why the character tells something another character specifically says, don't tell anybody. So I like how they reference that. But, it fits the circumstance because Joel is like, we are not going any step further, and I am not doing shit till we find out why this kid is so important. So Tess starts questioning her, and she basically states on the cure. And Joel, once again being our voice, is like, I've heard this before. There is no cure. And it's kind of funny because I feel like that beginning clip is supposed to give you that sense like a scientist said that there was no cure, right? So,
Question,
yeah.
because you know the history and I don't know the history. So there's a 20-year time jump from the time that the outbreak happens to where we are currently in real life, or in their real life, right? 20 years?
Yep.
Okay. How old is Ellie?
14.
So she was born 6 years after the spores.
Yes.
Okay, that's all. That's all. I just wanted to make sure I had the timeline proper because, like, I know how evolution works. So,
Yeah, and I think that it was another thing they did pretty well. They're pretty meticulous. Like I
or I should
didn't
say, not evolution, but adaptation.
adaptation. Yeah, it's a pretty good. The Last of Us, not to be confused. This Is Us.
This is us. I never watched that fucking show in my life. I can't do it.
I love that show. Oh my God, Hitches
I know
in the
lots of
fields.
people that love it, and every time that I ever see a commercial for it, I laugh. And it's supposed to be a serious show.
No,
It,
actually,
it's
there.
no, it is a comedy. Conversely to the way that Doom Patrol is a serious show.
Well, and it reminds me a lot of Scrubs, only less silly. They lean more towards the drama,
Oh,
but
okay.
there is
I love
those like
Scrubs. I
moments
love
where,
Scrubs. That's great.
oh yeah, if you like
It
Scrubs, you
has
like that.
Scrubs has my favorite TV pet of all time,
Oh,
Robbie.
what's that? Oh,
He's
you know,
always
my
there when you need him. Never runs away. I do remember the episode where he was missing and they were freaking out. I was like, he's dead. What do you mean he's missing? What's up, Keely Chow?
what's up, Keely? What's up? How are you doing? And everybody hit that like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube things. We so finally, begrudgingly,
What he means
um,
to say is hit the share button, hit the share button, hit the share button, because that's the one that brings more people. Or or if you're a lemon pie, yell out the window.
so we get to finally they decide they're going to very Doom Patrol isn't a serious show. I'm almost peeing myself laughing at that.
Okay, fair enough. Like, I guess that's an opinion.
So we finally get to them moving out, and they decide they're going to, at the very least, take her to this meetup, which is at the city hall essentially, and they got to get through. And they start talking, and this was an Easter egg
Ooh,
for me.
ooh, ooh! When they get to that first building or whatever, where they're crawling up the steps and they step on that arm and crunch or
Whoa,
whatever.
whoa, jumping ahead. Hold
Oh,
on.
I thought that's where we
There's
were
a
at.
no. There's when they were talking, walking across the bridge. Um, and she was like, "How did you get bit?" I wanted to highlight this because for
Okay.
anyone who doesn't know, I know the story of how she got bit. There's a DLC to the game explaining the story of how she got infected. And in the show, and this is how you do Easter eggs, Star Wars. In the show, there's an Easter egg in her conversation. So she says to Tess, um, I escaped the quarantine, she snuck out and went to an abandoned mall. Now, if you played DLC, I believe it's called Last Light or something like that. Um,
Okay.
She escaped, but what she left out in that conversation was she was with somebody else. And I think that's going to be an episode because I saw it in the
Ellie
clips.
was with somebody else.
Yeah. Now there was this thing that came up in The Last of Us Part 2 where people were like, Ellie isn't gay, this is bullshit, right? But if you played the game, that's 100% not true. There were signs of this when she was younger, and this DLC kind of hints towards that. She snuck out with a friend of hers. I'm not going to tell too much because I think it's going to be in a later episode, but that's how she got infected. So when Tess asked her, you were by yourself, and she paused for a long second, it was like, yeah. I was like, "Oh, you lied. You're like Joel. You don't want to tell your story yet." And it was a good Easter egg for me because I played the game and I got the context of the scene, so it was kind of like fun going, "Oh, they're referencing the DLC right there." But if you've never watched the show, she still looked guilty as shit if you watch that conversation because she pauses and hesitates while she's talking to Tess, and she's like, "No, I was by myself." And then she says, "You have a lot of balls," which I thought was funny. And they continue on, and now we're to the hotel, and this is the first change from the game.
Okay, so now we're at the part that I'm talking about.
I don't know because the hotel is before the museum, so the museum is when they get
Oh,
attacked.
the museum is not in. I'm not talking about the museum. I'm talking about the building that they go into, and then they go out the window at the top, and
Oh,
then they
okay.
cross that
Yes,
plank.
we are
That's
at
where
that scene.
Okay, so when they walk in that door at the start of that scene, is that a shot from the video game?
Yes.
I fucking knew it.
So how did you know?
To me, it seemed like any time that they focus on the background or on the scenery or whatever you'd like to call it, or on the set, whenever they focus on the set, to me, it seems like they're making a point of, you remember this scene from the game, don't you? You liked it, didn't you? It's about to happen. Get ready.
Now here is where that is kind of right and kind of wrong. First off, they get there later in the game, so they swap the order because this
Okay.
whole thing is a playable sequence, and actually, some encounters are in that building that are completely not in there. They there are some in the museum, and we'll get to that later, but the first encounters actually happen in the hotel. So I thought there was going to be something there, and there wasn't. They just used it as character development. So this is where I'm saying they kind of switch the sequence and the order to which the game goes because there's a lot longer with Tess, and we'll get to that. But you kind of go through that, and actually, it's kind of implied she might have been bit there, but we'll get there. Um, but
Okay.
yeah, so they kind of switch the sequencing of everything that went, which I appreciate because as a fan of the game, I don't want to be able to call everything. So when they got there and they kind of shortened it, I go, "Oh, you're using this for character development. Gotcha." Also, too, the thing with the skeleton is also something that kind of happens in the game exactly like how it happened. Most of it word for word and verbatim. The dialogue is straight out of the game too. So yeah, so they get to this hotel thing, and Joel and Ellie have the most awkward conversation in the world. I loved it, where they're just like kind of forced to interact with each other. I thought they did a great job. What did you think about this scene in their interactions when they're trying to think of things to say to each other?
Oh my God, like, I'm drawing a blank, guy. That happens right after they cross the plank?
No, that's before they cross the plank. When they're walking through the water, and she's like, "I can't swim," and then they get to the little room, but they can't get over because of the rocks and stuff. Tess has to crawl up and through them to open the door so they can get in, kind of like the game.
Ah.
And they're kind of just sit down and they start like trying to chat. And so Joel opens up and he's like, "So where are you from? Do you have any friends?" And she gives like smart ass, snarky comments. And then he
Okay.
kind of looks frustrated. So then she starts asking, and he's like, "Pass, pass. I don't want
Oh,
to
that
talk about myself."
sequence. Okay, okay, okay. And then she says something like, "So we can talk, just not about you," or something like, "I see you don't want to share your story yet either," or something. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was something to that effect, and I was like, this is so good because look, there's only like I believe this series only has like 8 episodes or something like that. But I like that they're taking their time and these two just aren't friends right away. It feels very realistic as to when you just first meet someone, you're thrown in a bad situation and you're kind of forced to be with them. So, uh, I don't know. I thought the dynamic was done very well. What do you think as far as it goes? How are you like enjoying their interactions? Could you see these characters getting closer? Do you think they're building that up pretty good?
Oh, I feel like they're building it up perfectly.
Yeah,
Like
because now that they
everybody in the post-apocalypse, I assume anyone who doesn't know anyone is going to be standoffish, and if you're not, it's a little weird. So, like, if they just started talking and they got along like gangbusters without any, friction at all, I'd be like, is there something going on here that we don't know about? Like, did they know each other previously and they haven't told us this? Like, did he run across her when she was a little kid and he was like looking out for her, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker style, or what was going on? No, they're completely random strangers who've never met before. So, no, they shouldn't like each other. And especially when you know that you're being used to get paid. Like, Joel and Tess are using the child to get paid.
Yeah, essentially they're mercenaries when you think about it. And
Pretty much.
Joel
Or
is
bounty
very,
hunters.
yeah, and Joel's very like standoffish. Hey, Laura B, what's up? Welcome
Hello,
to
Laura.
The Last of Us episode 2 Infected spoiler review.
Did you
So
did you watch The Last of Us, Laura? The only person I know for sure that watched The Last of Us was Carrie.
yeah, I heard some comments in here too that might have been from Carrie. But yeah, if you're not watching the show, definitely check it out because I
I
love it.
don't care how you have to check it out. Just watch it. You'll find it on the internet somewhere. I
Oh,
watch it
oh
on
yeah.
HBO Max.
Yeah, I want to support this show because they're actually doing a good job. Unlike Velma, there will be a review after the season
What
ends.
the fuck is
Uh,
Velma? Wait,
indeed,
is it a
the most
cartoon? Is it a cartoon?
it's the Scooby Doo spinoff.
Is it a cartoon?
Yes, it's like an
So
adult version.
these pictures that I've been seeing in random thumbnails about Velma is what the show looks like? Why? Oh my
You know
god,
what?
that was worse than Generation 7 of Pokemon. Like, what the actual fuck? The art style was shit. This is way worse.
Yeah, we got to do a review on that. And Lori, yes, bitchy as well. Thank you guys for. Uh, I did post an update, or maybe I didn't. I will today if I didn't. I'm pretty sure I did post an update now. I don't know. It's been a crazy week. Um, but yeah,
Indeed.
so they go through this building. We kind of get an explanation about the clickers and how they work. Um, I call them clickers. Most people infected because you guys don't know the game terms. But um,
No, I mean, if you watch the interview at the end of the show, they tell you that they're called clickers because I didn't know what they were called until they said that.
well, interesting. Little side note too. The ones in the first episode are actually called runners. The ones
So
we
ones
see
that
in
are
this one,
essentially human,
yeah, but they're
because
just
you can't really see the difference between them until you get up close, and then you're like, oh, I guess you are fucked up. You
but
can tell a
these
clicker
ones.
is fucked up from the other side of the town.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it was pretty intense. But there's this scene where they uh they get to the edge and they're talking about the long way or the shortcut, and then they're looking over that window and they're looking over the shortcut, and there's a ton of runners like just in this like they're all
Oh,
kind of
they look like they're almost spilling out of the building.
they're spilling out of the building and they're like, well, I guess we're not taking the shortcut because that was the shortcut. Because I imagine it would have been a straight line to where they gotta go.
Right.
Um,
It's like going down like Capitol Street if you're going to the Capitol.
yeah, it was hilarious, and so uh, they just they couldn't go that way, and so they're going to go through the museum. And now we get to the action set piece, the first one, or the second major action set piece in the museum. And first off, I'm getting more and more in line with the tendrils idea because I like the idea of like a warning system as well. So Joel checks this thing. It kind of looks like a regular plant, right? When it's not fed, it just molds and dies. And he like hits it with the gun. He's like, "Oh yeah, they're dead." Which this was my gripe. If you know the thing's alive, and I know you got to check, but I'm still like, there's got to be more an efficient way than hitting it. And what if it moved and all of them were drawn there, and you'd be like, "Whoop, yep, we're not going that way."
Wait,
Or was
like
it
they're
just like,
checking. When you say checking to see if it's alive, do you mean checking to see if it's still a regular human?
no, no, when they get outside of the building and there's like the little thing, and he goes up and hits it with the gun, and he goes, "Oh yeah, it's dead. It's been dead for a while." So everything else is probably dead in there because they're all connected. And I was like, "Well, did you really need to hit it with your gun?" I mean, first off, it looked like it was the plant thing was dying. Secondly, if it did have a spark of light, wouldn't that kind of draw based on what they told us, right? Wouldn't it draw everything out and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, well, I guess we really can't go that way." I'd be like, I don't know. Logistically, it just felt like there's got to be a better way to see if things are still alive in there than just like poking the beehive. But whatever, that could just
Well,
be
I
a.
mean, no, they should be walking around with like a pickaxe, and then if you're like, okay, I don't know if it's alive or dead, you walk up to it and you just pickaxe it right in your face, and you're like, double tap.
So they go into the museum.
Rule number 2.
Yeah, double tap. Um, they go into the museum, and this was a really well done scene for me. Um,
It
they
was right up
take,
until towards the end.
yeah, we'll get to that because
That'll be that's where my gripe is coming. You'll see.
so
Why did they
first off,
split up? I don't remember why they split up. I don't know.
I think they split up because of checking to see where the other things were located at. Like Joel was with Ellie to keep her safe, which
Yep.
I thought was good when they said split up because you never see that. And then Tess went around the other side
Okay.
to make sure, you know, because they essentially knew. So we get our first look at the clicker. I got it on screen. First off, I just want to talk about the design. Holy fucking shit! On the top, if you guys look,
How close is
that's
it to the? Isn't there a way to make the background the foreground?
uh, hold on a second. I'll show you. Okay, so that I highlighted up at the top,
Like,
that's the original design for the game.
yeah, just if you upload the picture to the overlay, then you can put it over the top of us.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's right. We have
yeah.
an overlay, don't we?
Yeah, if you upload that picture to the overlay, you can put it over the top of us, then we can still talk instead of having to sit silently with the dead air. Come on.
Okay, so if you guys look on this over
There you
here,
go.
this top
They cannot
corner
see
right
you
here.
move. They can't see you move the mouse around, so you have to talk more specifically. You can't say this and that over here and over there. Like go
So
left, right, up, down.
so in the upper left corner is the pictures from the game or the game models, and
That's
in
in my
this,
upper right corner. But okay.
yeah, upper right corner is the game design models. In the center is the one from the show.
Oh,
As you
okay.
can see, they are exactly
That's pretty
identical. Like,
effing close, man. Like that seems, for how intricate it is, it seems like it is closer to the video game than Cad Bane was to the Clone Wars.
yeah, it
Cad
was.
Bane was close, and it looked really good. But this looks really good, and it seems like it's even closer. Like that's a pretty small picture up in the corner, so it's hard to see like the intricacies. But they showed, like they talked about that in the post-credit interview.
Yeah,
They
and
talked about that. They went like they're like, yeah, we had all kinds of concept art that we were looking at, and I was like, wait a second. How much time and money did you waste looking at concept art when it's based on a fucking game? Like, you didn't just go, okay, somebody turn on the PS4, throw the disc in. Oh, that's what it looks like, guys. But you didn't even go that far. You can just go to Neil and be like, Neil, where is the 3D model? And then we're just going to 3D print it, and then we're going to hollow out the inside, and we're going to plop it on someone's head. Just for the prototype, because obviously you can refine it afterwards, but just for the prototype, all you need to do is look at the video game and be like, yeah, let's do that.
I mean, but I respect going the extra mile. I get what you're saying. It's like unnecessary.
I mean, that's the same thing as when they're making, who's the Resident Evil bad guy? Well, I can't think, not Wesker. Who's the super zombie? What's the name of it?
Oh, Nemesis.
Nemesis, yes. So you play the game and you're like, that's Nemesis. Just make it identical in the movie. And I mean, it was pretty close in the movie, but it wasn't identical. And I was like,
they nailed that
taking
one too.
fucking artistic liberties with stuff that you need not take artistic liberties with. Take artistic liberties with the stuff that you're making up for the show.
With this, they definitely didn't. I mean, in the end, both the models.
It's great. It is great.
It is great. And the thing that I liked, and I said this too while I was watching this, you could tell these are handcrafted effects and that it's a person and not a CGI thing. And I really appreciate that. And I kept thinking, because of how they're designed, how the fuck was that person able to see anything?
I don't know if maybe they weren't able to see anything. Maybe they had to wear an earpiece, so somebody had to be like, stop, you're going to run into something. Because then they said in the interview, like, these interviews are great. They give you the exact information you didn't even know that you needed. They're like, we hired a bunch of actors who really loved the video game and knew how the clickers moved. And then you watch it, and I was like, fuck.
And I gotta say, you said the key word that I can't stress enough. I like the fact that, keep in mind, this is a guy who made Chernobyl, okay? Realistic, it was a reenactment, yes, but it was as damn close realistic to the actual tragedy as you can possibly get. And if you haven't seen Chernobyl, definitely check it out because it's a fucking amazing show and quite terrifying. But this is a guy who's done shit like that, and to hear what he says and what seems to be like how much respect that they have while they're doing this is pretty astonishing, because he could have said, oh yeah, we just hired actors and told them how to move. But no, he specifically made it a point. He got people who know the game, they love the game, they probably played hours, and were waiting for an opportunity in their life to act like a clicker, and then got that call from Greg. It was like, or Craig, I'm sorry, Craig.
No, the casting call went looking for clickers, and they went, holy shit.
My day has come.
Right? They're going to pay me to be a clicker.
Like, I like the fact that they made a very specific, like, yeah, we got people who played the game, understood the movements, and they just did it. And I gotta say, for that scene too,
that's a lot of pay for sitting around, because I guarantee that they are in the makeup chair way longer than they're actually filming any scene.
Oh yeah, that makeup must be a nightmare. Like, holy crap, the detail. And when they were even showing the behind the scenes, the details were amazing. But they're going through this, right? The other thing I want to highlight, I thought there was a little bit of horror and tension in this. How they're in the dark sneaking around, and then all of a sudden you hear that clicking sound.
Yep, and I didn't know what it was at first. I was like, obviously it's some type of fungi zombie, but I don't know what's about to happen. I never played a game. And I was like, what the fuck is that?
And I loved it because I played the game, so as a gamer, I got that PTSD where I was like, looking
right, but then they have the conversation. They're like, they're totally blind. Can't see a fucking thing. Can't even see the difference in light. Totally fucking blacked out because of this thing that's grown over their eyes. But they can hear. And I was like, oh, okay. So then they go through the whole fucking scene, which I thought was amazing. Like they're running away, they're barely getting away, barely getting away. It starts chasing him, and then he does the smart thing, which I didn't get it at first, but then after I thought about it for half a second, I was like, oh, that was genius. He tips over that statue, knowing that the statue is going to tip slowly enough for him to put some distance between him and that, and then make a noise for the clicker to hear.
Which
And I was like,
this
oh,
is
that's fucking genius. I was like, that was great. But what wasn't so great was after he made his way back to Ellie, because he essentially just circles around. Like all these rooms are just connected. Like you can walk in a circle on these floors or whatever. At least that's what I got from it. And he just circled back and found her, and they're like crouched down. And I was like, okay, why in the fuck are they crouched behind a counter? Why aren't they just stood up so that they could walk normally and pay attention to what they're doing instead of paying attention to crouching? There's no reason to crouch. Everything is blind. You just have to be quiet. But they crouch behind that counter, and because they're crouching, they don't realize that they're about to step on some glass and then crunchy crunch and then fucking attacks them again. I was so
okay.
fucking pissed. I was like, they're goddamn blind. There's no reason to crouch at all. You're literally
Okay,
hiding when you don't need to hide.
this is an Easter egg from the game fans. I got you. So
If it doesn't make sense in the game either, I'm going to be extra pissed.
in the game, they do the same thing. When you're walking, your steps are louder. You have to crouch in order to specifically get past them because crouching minimizes the sound that you make as opposed to just walking in the game. So that's a reference to the game.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of terrible because there's no way that, like, I guess if you played the game, you quite obviously got what was happening, but that's a game mechanic that doesn't translate to real life. And if that's what they were concerned about with the spores, why wouldn't they be concerned about that? Because I don't know, have you ever crouched down the way that they have and then tried to walk? It's not easier. You cannot do it quieter. Not in real life.
I mean, like, yeah, in real life, when I was training in the service, they did say crouch down like that, and they even trained us on.
But to hide from blind people. They didn't teach you how to hide from blind people. You didn't crouch down to be quiet. You crouch down so that you're a smaller target. It's one, to hide you. Two, to make you a smaller target.
Yeah, and also it does help with noise reduction. I know but I mean, come on, is that really immersion breaking? Like, I got what they were doing. I guess
maybe you got it, but it looks really fucking stupid after they literally just have a conversation where they say they're blind, so you could walk right up to a clicker and just put your hand up and fucking John Cena that motherfucker, and they'd have no idea because they can't hear you.
I mean, no, I get what you're saying, especially with the realistic, explanation they gave for the.
This is on HBO Max. They peacemaker that motherfucker.
But I mean, no, that for me that wasn't an issue. I did say look down though because I kind of knew about the glass thing because I was like, wait a second,
that whole thing shattered.
They're not looking where they're going. They're like, out, he's going to. And I got flashbacks from the game because I've done that shit when you're crouched down and you start walking, but your view is obscured. You're like only looking this way, so you can't see what's down, and that's one of the I don't know, the flaws with crouching in the game. It's purposely done, so you have to be very attentive and kind of scout the area before you crouch. But anyways, so I was getting flashbacks from the game where I was like, oh shit, that's happened to me. Like I've literally snuck past a room of clickers, and then all of a sudden I step on that one thing, and I just hear the screams, and they just come beelining into the other room. So, yeah, I could see where game fans see, and this is what's interesting about this show. There'll be some things, and this is why I like talking to you because you do make a good point. For me, it'll make sense because I'm looking at it from the game perspective. From you, it's like, which you have a good point. It's like, yeah, but in real life, if they're blind, you could just kind of walk past them. They can't like see your frame, which also makes sense. So I guess, hey, if that's the biggest oversight we're talking about in an episode, they're doing something
Yep.
Right, because this is a
Literally my
very
only
small
gripe.
nitpick.
Literally my only gripe. I mean, I would like to know how much damage do you actually have to do to one of these clickers to kill it? Because obviously it's like an end of level pseudo boss.
Uh, you have a wonderful
Good night,
night,
Christine.
Christine.
Enjoy your drinks. I don't know if she's going to have drinks. I have no idea. I just know that it's almost 7 p.m.
But yeah, I do agree, and this is the reason why I love having you on for this because like that won't bother me, but I'm looking at it from let's be real, one nostalgia,
You're
and
looking
two,
at it from the insider perspective,
yeah.
and I have the outsider perspective.
And you know what? That's to me what makes a balanced review because I won't pick this stuff out because I'm just so happy about the big things that they're
He's like,
doing
oh,
right.
I did that! I did that! Pedro!
You know what? I was thinking that, like when you push over the statue and stuff like that. I go, I did that in the game. There you go, Pedro. There you go. I knew there was a reason why
Yeah,
you were Joel.
fucking
He's like
great.
he Mandalorian that shit. But because it's cool because I'm not going to look at that objectively, and I've even said 110% with how well they're faithfully adapting it, and we're going to get to the change that's going to be in episode 3. That whole episode I think is going to be the one that splits the gamers now because Bill gets no fucking backstory whatsoever in the game, but he's by far one of the coolest characters. Now you got one of my favorite actors and a
Oh, why can't
whole
I think of his
backstory.
name?
Oh my god. Erica actually looked him up. I just always
Everybody knows him
call him
from
Ron.
Right, everybody knows him from Parks and Rec.
For me, he's forever Ron Swanson. I like Ron Swanson at the apocalypse. Let's go. You know he's got guns.
That's his name in Parks and Rec?
Yeah, Ron
Okay.
Swanson. But and it's so crazy how much he looks like the video game counterpart. I was like, it was like I said, this show, it feels like a lot of these people were born to play the roles that they're in. Like they are casted so perfectly. It's ridiculous. Like I don't think there's ever been a
They're
show with
casted so
casting.
perfectly, it's like they're pro fishermen.
So yeah, besides that one gripe, what did you think of the action overall? How they moved? Did you think? Because we're
No,
on a
I thought it was amazing.
and we're on a horror podcast, obviously. Do you think it kind of fits into that horror, survival horror kind of element brought to the big screen? I think they do a lot of these scenes
I
well.
thought they
I'll
did.
even
I thought that was great. I don't think that anybody has ever made a zombie scene where you're like hiding, running, trying to survive this one in particular instance. Like, tell me a scenario that's similar that's been done better.
like yeah, like typical zombies. Like the only ones I can think of where I was really terrified, and it was the first time we ever saw zombies running. To be fair, it wasn't really zombies; it was more of a rage virus. But we're gonna call them zombies anyways because they're fucking dead. That's not the point. But 28 days later, like
28 days, okay.
yeah, because there's 28 weeks. So it's just a
Weeks, yeah.
sequel. But 28 days later really captured making you scared. But that was because instead of the zombies walking, these motherfuckers like beelined it like sports athletes towards you.
Right?
So it was
I'd be
kind
able
of
to run.
because normally you think, oh, zombies, they're slow as shit and stupid. I'll just run. These they chased you and opened doors and shit. That was the only way to make that scary, right? So when you get a scene where now you're dealing with something that's not exactly a zombie, it's more of a fungus. I know that's a nitpick, whatever, but this is more of a fungus infection, right? But the fact that they're all interconnected, the fact that they can all communicate with each other, and the noises, I think that sound really plays a big part, especially in this episode. Like, you kind of made this thing now when every time people hear this, they're going to know exactly what's in the area. I think it set up everything really nicely because your first reaction right now watching this episode brand new is like you said, you're thinking, what the hell is that, right? You're hearing about these things, but then you get the noise, you get what it looks like, chaos ensues, and now you know what it is. But now, every time you hear that noise, you're going to be like, oh, clicker. So it kind of helps people who've never played the game to now understand as gamers do. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
they're in danger.
clickers are terrifying because they're the opposite side of the coin of the T-Rex.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll be honest with you, the
Right?
T-Rex.
The T-Rex, you can make as much noise as you want, right? You're like, you can blare a fucking horn at them, you don't fucking hear nothing, but you fucking move. You're dead.
Whereas the clickers, you even breathe
You
harder.
can move all over fucking place, but you make too much noise moving. You're dead.
And the irony of it too is that once you make that initial noise, even running, now you're making more noise to get away from the thing that's chasing you. So it's kind of like a catch-22. I also too like how they showed the durability. You had mentioned like how much can they take in the game, and I think they stressed this pretty good in the episode. But in the game, you got to basically shoot these things in the head or beat them to death. They are a pain in the ass. They are like one of the worst enemies. Like when you get to a building and you've cleared it, and then you hear that sound, you're like, ah, shit. And then that's kind of in the game where you make the choice, okay, am I just going to sneak around, grab as much ammo as I can and get the fuck out, or am I going to actually try to take this thing out? And then, because I'll tell you right now how I dealt with them. I went into a room, threw a Molotov cocktail. They would all come to it, be set on fire, and then I'd shoot them in the head. And that was my strategy because they are a pain in the ass. Like you could go up to them with a lead pipe, but it won't end well. Trust me, I tried like 5 or 6 times. Like you can't stealth kill them. They're the only unit you cannot stealth kill them because they just won't die. I mean, the easiest way is a gun or setting them on fire, basically. Which brings us
Okay, so
neatly.
to the climax.
Neatly, there is the bridge scene we were talking about. So Tess is
Yeah,
acting
where
kind of
they're talking,
weird.
and she's like, hey, you need to take her, and you need to get out of here. He's like, what the fuck do you mean? You're staying. And then
No,
Ellie's
no,
like,
there was a
oh, did I
scene
skip
before
too
that.
far? Oh,
Yeah.
there is?
So the scene before
I
that,
thought it.
they escape, they get to that building rooftop, right? And there's the little, like, I don't know, board that somebody knocked down so they can go from roof to roof. And that's when Tess starts acting weird and starts being like, hey, this might be legit because Ellie gets bit again. And I like the joke and it kind of throws you off. I don't know if you were fooled before we get to the ending where she was like, oh, it's better that it was me than you guys, right? Because she shows her arm and she's like, more like, oh, damn it. Again,
Again.
I thought
Yep.
I was like, I was like, wow, this is I liked it. It was like, and I, as a person who played the game, I'm like, oh, they must be keeping Tessa around longer because how they did it in the show is how they did it in the game, and I still got fucking tricked because I was like, oh, wait a second, I thought, and I look at them like, oh, okay, so she's immune. They're gonna kind of drag out this Tess storyline. No. So we get to, they get outside. The military people are all killed. They get inside and they find out that one of them had been infected and turned on the rest of them. And they must be the most terrible shots in the world, or this one, I don't know, took them by surprise. That was a lot of people. Like I could tell this group is not very well trained. That was a lot of people taken out by one runner. But you find out that he took them all out, and Tess is just like, we got to keep going. And Joel, once again, being the voice of reason, is like, okay, game over. Fuck it. I'm going back. We're going back home. Leave the girl here, basically, which I thought was hilarious.
Yep.
He's like, I don't care about the battery. I don't care about the money. This shit ain't worth it.
It's
And,
over.
and, and she says, it's over. And I was like, it's over. Why are you still looking for a map? Blah, blah, blah. And we find out Tess got bit. And I also like how she showed Joel, like, hey, this is real because she showed her bite and then Ellie's bite. Ellie's bite was like like you scratch yourself. Hers, there was like that yellow discoloration. There was like her
No, it was
veins
like
were like
growing
this,
down her freaking shoulder.
her shoulder like a plant, and I was like, that is a good way to illustrate how important. So they do two things there. They let you know Tess is fucked, and
Ooh,
how the
question. Like,
yeah.
does it grow localized on your body, or does it go into your bloodstream? Like, if I get bit on the hand, can I chop my arm off and I'll be fine?
Um, they don't really get into that in the game, but
Okay.
no, I don't. I from how they
If
kind of.
it works like that, where it's got to like work its way to the brain, like physically growing as a fungus, that means that like you get bit on the leg or the arm, chop that fucker off. Refund.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, and
Potentially.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe just with the way and how quickly it spreads, amputation isn't really considered or even a thing. Um, just because of how quickly it works, and like it's kind of like vines, so it's almost growing. And I think we'd have to. Wow, now we're getting into the science of it. I don't know. We'd have to confer with scientists and see how quickly something like this would grow or something like that. But from how it looked, man, she got bit back at the museum, but they don't notice it until
Back at
they
the
get
museum, like
before they got to the Capitol building. So I'm gathering that what it would take them 20 minutes
so
to
she got
walk.
bit at the museum from she got bit by a clicker, or she got bit by a regular
She
or a
got bit
reg.
by the clicker when I'm assuming when she went off screen and we didn't see her, and then they rejoined.
Oh,
She
that's
must have got.
terrible. But I guess
Yeah,
it was a surprise reveal for the end. Okay.
which I still think that's an interesting way to do it because you know it does logistically make sense to what the plan was. And it does keep from the fact that she is bitten for that big reveal. So, before they revealed, did you think she got bit? Was it like a shock to
No,
you?
I didn't. I wasn't expecting that she had gotten bit because we didn't see her.
So yeah, see, it was effective. So she got bit, and she's like, she basically says to Joel, "I never asked for anything, but I'm asking you to finish this and to take her to the lab." And she does the whole guilt tripping, which I thought was hilarious. When your lady goes, "I never ask you to do anything, but this one time, as I'm dying, I would like you to finish this." And first off, I want to just give a nod to Pedro's acting. Dude, that man he's such a good actor at expressing so much without having to say anything. They could have did a whole "I
Well, yeah,
love
he does
you"
it with a
or
fucking helmet on.
no, but I mean, just yeah, like even with the Mandalorian, right? He has no facial features for us to like click onto, but yet still his body language and everything else, you can 100% tell what the Mandalorian is thinking, and he translate that to the show. He doesn't say a word to her this whole entire scene, but says so much in his face, like the look on his face when he realized she's bitten. Because I'm like, yeah, they're just sleeping together or whatever, but there's got to be some kind of connection, right? You just don't fuck someone consistently and basically live with them without having some kind of feelings. And so, and I liked his very next reaction. He grabs Ellie and runs. I thought that was fucking hilarious. How many times in zombie shows do you see where they like stop for a big long speech and you're like, holy crap, like there's a billion zombies and people about to kill you. Why are we stopping to talk about how much this person means to you? He just gives her like that look, turns around, grabs her by the arm, and drags her out. And she's like, Ellie's the one screaming, no,
Let go
don't
of
leave.
me!
Yeah.
You
She's
will
like,
not
fuck you.
child traffic me!
Yeah.
He's like, fuck it, I won't!
But it's like so what it was so to me that scene 100% up my score because it was so realistic, because I feel like anyone in that situation would grab the person they're with and get the fuck out, especially considering she kicked over like gallons of gasoline and fucking grenades. So, and said go. And so I thought that scene was very well done. So I guess we got to talk about it. I I've been hearing a lot of people saying it was gross. I thought it was interesting. Maybe it's just because
Explain it to me.
so the clicker thing. She's having a hard time with the lighter. One of them stops and looks and like goes over and like goes to kiss her, but
That
not
wasn't a
really,
full. That wasn't a clicker though. That was a reg.
or a regular one. Uh, and it goes to kiss her, and the little tendril thing comes out and goes into her. And so, what
No,
did you
why
think of
did
this?
she let? No, why did she let it? Does that happen in the game?
No. In the game, it's military.
Okay.
The
What?
the
No,
military.
no.
This is
So
where they
this
swapped it.
the military kills Tess,
Yeah, and actually, this ending works
and
better.
she blows up a bunch of them.
No, they just shoot her. This is why I like this ending of Tess better. So in the game, you get to the building, same setup, but it's the government people the DMZ where you lived, and they all surround the place. And you don't even see Tess die, or she doesn't do anything heroic. She just says go, and then they break down the door, and you don't even get to see her dead. You just hear gunshots and walk away. I think this version works a lot better because there's a lot
Just
more
why did she
emotions
let
behind
this fucking thing kiss her guy?
because she was dying anyways, and when you get entranced by that, that's kind of how it works. You just kind of that's their little like
Well, what
it's
you get entranced by the fungus?
yeah, because she's already infected, so they kind of connect with each other. It's like a mind meld thing. It's really
Okay, so
strange.
that's okay. That was the only explanation that I could come up with that seemed reasonable to me. I was like, okay, well, she had progressed to the point where she wasn't in complete control of herself, and the spores that were in her already were like,
Are
no,
connecting with
you want this to happen.
yeah. So basically, she had enough control to be able to drop the lighter, but that's pretty much it. And
That was what I
so
didn't. That I mean, like the sequencing of it would have been like she didn't even have the lighter lit yet, and was already letting this thing kiss her, which would make me think that she would stop lighting the lighter at that point. But I guess you're right. She got enough willpower to keep her going.
And plus, you have to remember too that those things don't exactly comprehend everything like we do. So it will only interfere if it considers it a threat to itself. And so they're probably not up with like, oh, lighter, fire, whatever, or it hasn't made its way further enough to understand what the plan was because they do show in the game different
The
situations.
fungus learns.
Oh yeah,
Oh god,
it's always been
that's
a question. Well,
terrifying.
yeah, there's a lot of things hinted in the first game too, where it starts evolving and understanding things that are threatening to it and its survival. And basically, like anything else, if it picks up a threat,
I
it
mean, and
will.
it shows you how immune Ellie was. Like
Oh yeah, that was a great.
she had a nasty fucking bite on her arm, and it was bleeding to the point where it's like, okay, you got to bandage it up. Like she has superhuman healing abilities because the cut was also healing.
Oh yeah, she's got a hell of an immune system, and
Like her
obviously,
antibodies are working overtime. They've been supercharged by the fungus or something like that. Like I don't know exactly what's going on, but it's more than just being exclusively immune to the fungus. It's more than that. They've mutated her in some way.
and yeah, this gets touched on later, so I don't want to get into spoilers, but
No,
uh,
it's I can do theories. You can.
it's also cool that it lets people know too, because we're thinking like Joel, right? But this kind of hits home to why she's so important, because you kind of go from, well, like he said, they've said that there's been cures before, right? There's antidotes and vaccines that they're working on, but it's all been bullshit. But like this is the proof. Like when you see it, you go, oh, okay, yeah, she is different.
Right, because literally all they'd seen up to that point was she's got a nasty scar on her. Like, maybe it's from the fungus, maybe somebody spilled some acid on you. I don't know for sure. But I did see you get bit. I did dress your wound, and I did see your wound already get healed up before the episode. I mean, what was it, like an hour later, 2 hours
Yep,
later?
an hour later, and so she's getting the benefits. Think about that. She's getting the benefits of what this thing does without any of the drawback.
Nope.
So this is like this is like a huge thing, and it also conveys to the audience too when they see that it conveys how important she actually is. This is very important for later. Very, very important for later. But and they're setting that up. So, they get out, there's a big explosion. I assume she killed everything because fire like instantly kills them in the game at least. And no, we haven't seen an example of that in the show yet,
No, I
but
wasn't sure what was going on at first when she just starts fucking like tipping shit, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, for all I knew, it was goddamn like varnish. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's some kind of fuel. And then she goes over and above, and I was like, ooh, she tipped over some grenades.
yeah, like I like the fact that she was like, yeah, we're gonna make sure we kill these things. Like, there's no doubt in your
Yep.
mind. Like, she just killed everything that was
Well,
over
it
in
makes
that
me
corner.
wonder how many. It makes me wonder how many she missed because she didn't do it immediately, and the ones at the front are hauling ass. Like, there's a reason why they're at the front. She waited until she got to make out with that super fun guy.
So, but yeah, so they blow it up. You kind of see Ellie's expression, which I thought was really cool, and they move on, and that's the end of the episode. So all in all, let's talk about favorite, not favorite moments, and then give it a rating and uh, predictions for the upcoming week. So, what was your favorite part of this episode?
Um,
Hi, I am almost done. I already told you I
I
was doing
would
this.
say my favorite part is either like I like the opening scene, but it's not my favorite part. Like it probably be my second. It's the end when they start at at the point where he made the decision. When she says, "Save who you can save," and I was like, "Oh, that's a good line." Everything that
And
happens
that's
after that.
and the funny part too. That's interesting. That would be your favorite line because that is straight from the game.
Ah,
Like verbatim, word for word. That's her last words to Joel before she dies is save who you can save. And it kind of is that point is the shift or the beginning of the shift of his character because, it's her dying wish. So, I really appreciated like there's things where I feel like it is a good thing to put verbatim lines and that fits so well and it also kind of gives people a reason to why he will start to go on this journey emotionally because you got to figure what it was 20 something years so he's been a cold calculated kind of a prick for all that long like not getting close to anyone so when someone gives you a dying request it's kind of a major big thing so
I mean, sure. It depends on who the person is. Like,
no
there have
no
been people through history where I don't give a fuck about their dying request.
I mean, someone close to you, because obviously, clearly, by the end, you figure out that that was probably the person who he was closest with, as far as anybody else.
Oh,
Maybe
you're
his
talking about
brother.
Tess being his fuck buddy?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I mean they're pretty close.
yeah. So I think
Just
that
like we're close to the end of this review, and since we're close to the end of this review, go to moviepal.com, put in code Zone15, get some fancy artwork. I don't know if they do TV shows. I think that they have a couple, but I don't know if this one's on it. That'd be interesting.
yeah, go check it out. Let us know and comment at the
Yeah,
end of
that
the
was the
video
short
if you found
version.
something. Yeah. So
I left it
I
at the whole thing, and I was like, I guess we gotta get one in before we finish here. Like, short version.
I'd have to say my favorite part was the was the museum scene. Just and I'm gonna be 100% honest here, purely nostalgia. Like, just I see, I didn't have a
When this
discrepancy
game
with the
came
crouch
out,
thing.
the game came out in 2013.
Yep,
The first one.
yep. And so
It's a decade
I
old.
I loved, unlike you, I actually liked the crouching scene because it was for
Yeah,
me
because
that
it hit you
moment.
with the nostalgia.
And it was for me that moment in the game when you fuck up and you step on something and then you attract the attention of everything. And I hit my hand, my head like this, where when he was doing it, where I was like, "Oh, I've done that, Joe. You should have pressed the right trigger instead of the left one."
You're like, you hit the wrong button, Joel. You hit the wrong button.
Because I was like, "You did good. You knocked over the statue, and then you went on the glass." I was like, "I can't get mad. I've done that so
Ooh,
many times."
ooh. Quick question, like game mechanics wise, how many weapons can you carry at a maximum? Like, do you have a full bag of weapons where you got like 6, 7 weapons?
You can have a I don't know, assault rifle kind of thing, a pistol,
Mm,
and then anything that you make, like Molotov cocktails, shivs, things like that. And that's it. So you get two primary weapons,
okay, so
and
it'll still be realistically accurate. It's not like Resident Evil, how many you carrying like 7, 8 weapons at a time and you just swap back and forth, right?
yeah, and the cool part is how they do it is he takes stuff out of his backpack. So if you want to swap guns, the animation will stop and he'll go into his backpack and grab the gun out. It's kind of funny with like, well, no, because with the like
So we're gonna
semi-automatic
see that
weapon,
happen at some
that would be awesome. Dude, I'd have like seriously, I'd be
point.
like,
Dude, I
that's a 10 out of
guarantee
10
you, like
scene.
if they're letting Neil direct the episodes, there's no way he's like, okay, so he's got to switch weapons, which means he's got to stop, he's got to kneel down, he's got to pull the weapon out of the bag, and then he's got like we have this like those are the types of things that you can do identically to the video game.
And I think it adds realism too, because I've always wondered that in video games, like how the hell do they have all these weapons on them? Where are they putting it?
Oh,
Like,
I've never wondered how I could fit so many things in my bag before. I'm a Pokemon fan. You can fit a million, you can fit infinite items. So.
oh yeah, those bags are endless,
It's
and
like, oh, did you see Violent Night? You saw Violent Night, right?
yeah, it's a
Okay,
Santa
so
Claus bag.
yeah, it's a Santa Claus bag. You just it's got it all.
But yeah, I love how they're doing it. I think it was very well done. I really love this episode, and yeah, I'd say the only scene that really got me was that little nitpick I had with the in the beginning where he just went up and hit that plant leaf outside of the museum, and I was like, well, if you're trying to go in quiet, wouldn't that draw attention? But that was my only
Well, you
that was
know,
my only gripe. But
some
yeah, so
people's kids.
let me go with your rating first before I do mine because I'm curious where you land on the. Oh, you're going with
9.
with a
It was
nine.
a 9. It was a 9.
I'm gonna say a nine
Come
too.
out, come out.
I'm gonna say a nine too. I think that once again a good solid episode. I think this one built tension a lot better. The atmosphere was built up in the scenes where it needed to be. Um, this could almost classify that scene as horror because it was terrifying in the way that they did it. I was watching it on the big TV last night. Um, and yeah, it's pretty effective. And even though you have a gripe with the scene, when that glass cracks, that's some pretty
No,
tension filled.
no, the fact that they stepped on it, because you could step on it standing up. That's the only gripe that I have is that I like stand up because you just said that you don't have to hide.
But it still worked effectively for what they were going for. I think everything was good. Kudos to Neil Druckmann for this being his first time ever directing something live action. He directed this episode himself, and
That
I
was good.
think he did a fantastic job because he could have went crazy with it or did weird camera movements or something, but he focused everything that needed to be focused perfectly. Besides, And let's be real. To be honest, what we're really nitpicking because we don't want
Yeah.
someone to come on here
Yeah,
and be
I
like,
was like,
"This is great."
what episode was these fuckers crouched instead of standing? Because I did come up with another explanation. Is that like you're hiding from something? So, like mentally, you want to hide. Like if you're hiding from something, you're going to try and hide yourself visually because that's just how we think. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess maybe they're far enough into the apocalypse future that people don't think like that anymore. But I still think like that. It's like, oh well, I'm hiding from the thing, so I'm physically hiding from the
And I think too, it's a lot with the adrenaline thing. Like you just got away, they
thing.
were
Yeah, you
attacked
can't always think
initially.
straight with adrenaline. Not
Oh no, you're not.
everybody's Tom Brady.
No, you're gonna be like, you're not gonna make that quarterback play. You're gonna kind of be frazzled. So I really like that. I think the show is off to a great start. Unlike Velma, this show is
Yeah.
actually entertaining to watch. So good for them. HBO, if you could stop doing stupid moves like canceling all of your other animated stuff and putting that shit on and give us more quality like Last of Us, you'll be a perfect broadcast network. Is it just me or does every streaming service do stupid shit and yet they still have good shows? Like Netflix released Wednesday, but then they had all the other stupid shit and controversy going over there. And HBO releases Last of Us, but already renews Velma season 2, which is, by the way, right now the worst rated show ever. It is like
In like
ever.
human history.
Yes, like for a TV show. It
I'm a
has
10
the
out of 10.
lowest rating on everything. This is the first time everyone agrees this show sucks. Like universally. I've never seen anything bond people. So, yeah, I'm going to do my I wanted to actually do that, and PB
Yeah, we were
probably saw
supposed to
the
do it
audio.
last Friday, and then we were supposed to do it last Saturday, and then like I don't know what you were doing yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, I was just kind of relaxing. So,
Oh
and
yeah,
watching The Last of Us. So,
you had a tough weekend.
it, it was, oh man, it was a bit of a weekend.
It was way tougher for her.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely more on that end. But yeah, so that's the show. Um, just to give you guys a heads up, I will be doing these, but also too, this may be spliced with a updates on Scream and stuff like that because Scream 6 is coming out soon. Um, which by the way, as sort of are getting ready to wrap things up, I do have a trailer for today.
Oh, is it for The Last of Us episode 3?
I mean, I would do that, but HBO literally pulled me off the air the last time I tried to do it.
What a bunch of
So,
HB homos.
so guys, if you could just be so kind as to, if I'm promoting you, maybe not pull me off the air, that would be nice.
Right, we're just trying to get people to watch your show.
Like, I would think, and
Like you can pull us
HBO,
off the air if we call it. Oh, I gotta think of. Let me think of something clever. Uh, oh God, clickers in the dark.
ooh, clickers in the dark. I like that. That's a really good.
Well, I mean, motherfuckers, dead dragons on the wall.
It is better than Dragons on the. Oh my god, I hate that so much. So, for all of you who
There's
stuck
one
around and were,
dragon left. One dragon.
oh god, that was my biggest pet peeve. All of you people who were nice enough to stay, this trailer is for you. We are going to do a preview for the new Scream 6 trailer.
Full
So,
screen. Thank you.
I'm gonna pause this every
You got
once
a
in a while
problem
so
here,
I don't
guy?
get pulled. Okay, so right in that moment, I love how this is so New York because they don't give a shit
The
if
mask
you're a
is dirty
serial
as fuck.
killer. I also love the design of this mask. This tells a story. I think this mask was picked up or something, but I want to just highlight
Oh,
what the guy said. That was
you
super
got a fucking
realistic.
problem, buddy?
Yeah, if you ever lived in New York, that would be somebody's response because I know there's going to be someone out there. Well, if you see somebody in this mask just come in, why would you do that? Because it's New York. That would
I
be
mean,
everybody's first reaction.
I can't say that I would be like opposed to saying the same thing. I'd be like, "What the hell are you doing, guy? What's happening here? Like, are you staring at me because I don't see your face?" Oh,
Yep. And then watch this. So I just want to highlight something. I said when I saw that, I go, "Oh shit, Scream Guy's got a gun."
Scream Guy's got a gun. Scream
Or, I'm
Guy's
sorry.
got a gun.
I was
The
like,
whole world's come undone. We're used to his stabbing.
and I also love the fact that throughout the Scream franchise, this has been an annoyance of mine, and I'm so glad. Like these directors are doing a great job. I don't care what people said about 5. I love 5. It was on my top 10 list.
I should probably see it.
But
I should probably
the
see
the
it.
ghost face in these movies is very logical, and I like the fact that throughout the whole Scream series, Ghostface has had tons of times to use a gun. He never uses a gun until the mask is off and they reveal the person, and it's like I don't know, he lost his superpower or something. I don't know how it works, but anyways, I like the fact that in this one he kills the guy and immediately grabs the shotgun. I like that is super realistic. Like
Yeah, double tap. Double tap.
double tap, exactly. That's what he's
What if
doing.
he's got the spores in him?
Oh, triple tap.
It doesn't
Like,
reanimate you, does it? Like, you still
no.
could be alive.
No, once you die, you're dead.
Right.
Like, dude, that's a shit your pants.
I had this secret. There's a darkness inside of me.
What's that crackling?
It followed me here. And it's gonna keep.
What's that?
You know, it sounds a little. It's like got a little crackling noises it's playing, but you know, what can you do? Who's that supposed to be? She looks familiar.
Jenna Ortega from Wednesday. She's back. She was in the 5th one.
I didn't see the 5th one. I don't know which ones I even seen. I know I seen the first one. I probably seen the second one. I'm not sure about the 3rd one. And then the 4th one is where Dewey pulls his mustache off at the end of the movie, and then starts walking normally.
Oh, you're thinking of Scary Movie. Comedy spoof.
Oh, that's funny.
Coming for us. We share a certain.
And she's from the 4th movie.
This isn't like any other ghost face. What is this place?
A shrine.
Lure him in.
Dude, a cult of Ghostface? That is disgusting. That looked like the Batcave.
This is amazing. This is amazing. This is giving me Saw vibes, and I love it. This March. Let's play a game.
You know you're like the 10th guy to try this, right? It never works out for the dipshit in the mask.
Maybe. But one like me, Gale. I'm something different.
That's why I'm gonna shoot you in the head.
Now, did you hear that edit? I bet you she said the fucking head, but they had to cut that off because that's a callback to the 5th movie. And I could hear the edit, the jump there where she just jumped ahead. So
Open the door. That was terrible.
You want me. So let's finish this.
I still don't buy her as a dude,
Guys?
this right here is the scariest for me. Like, so yeah, super excited.
Turns them into a 6. These clever fuckers. These clever fuckers. Oh man.
So super excited! I can't wait. I will be doing a review with
You would.
Killjoy, and I'll be doing a review with Justin, because we all pretty much like the fifth movie. So hopefully number six delivers more. This is all I gotta say is this is New York. They better go big. Like there better be lots of death. Like you gotta kill a lot of people. You're in the biggest city in the world. I need like at least, I don't know, 20 people in the first hour.
Crikey.
He's
Oh yeah.
something different.
So remember, Jason went to New York, did this, and that I like to call Jason on a boat because that's 90% of the movie. And then he like kills like two people in New York and then dies. So don't do the Jason goes to New York
Which
route.
which movie is that?
Friday the 13th, Jason takes Manhattan. It was
No,
it
well,
was
like, which number would it be?
oh god, number 9, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, they were pretty far off. After that, they sent them into space. They were running out of shit to do.
oh 10 is the best. Jason X is the best. I think it might be my favorite. Dude,
So,
he killed her with liquid nitrogen. Smash him. Awesome.
oh, don't get me wrong. Like,
I love
I
that
love
scene.
that movie. I love the movie in general.
Oh
It's
man.
just you could definitely tell they were running out of ideas. As soon as they send
Well, they
anyone
weren't
to
running
space,
out of ideas. They went into the future, man. It was amazing. It was fucking amazing. And all of it made sense. I was like, yeah, that is the only way you can stop him. And then stab that fucking bitch in the fuck day. Everyone gets frozen. Oh, man. You didn't bring him with the job. No. And everyone dies. It's amazing.
so, so yeah, that was pretty much the review. Thank you for watching. I will be making.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna be working on other stuff, but before I get to that, PB, what have you got going on?
Oh, I had a short come out 33 minutes ago. Or it comes out in 27 minutes. I don't remember what time I set it for. It's either supposed to come out at noon or 1 o'clock. So, look for
So
that.
go look for that.
It's a
PB's
stupid
got
joke.
you've got some pretty funny shorts, so I think they're entertaining.
Thank you. I didn't.
So
I
yeah,
didn't try at all.
I could tell. It's just like effortless.
Oh yeah.
So go check out PB Shorts. I've got some video ideas that I'm putting together, but currently I haven't been on it as much. That's because I'm working on my novel. I'm
Did
chapter
you watch
3.
the Scream TV show?
Yes,
Okay.
loved it. Up to season 3. Then uh, they should have stuck with that. Anyways, that's a discussion for another day. But yeah, I thought it was really good. It was as good as you could do Scream on TV. Like the kills were still there, and they were pretty gnarly. The mystery was still there. The language you could tell had to be kind of watered down, and I don't like MTV's like youthful take
MTV.
on where they're like, oh my god, blah blah blah. But yeah, go ahead, Carrie, ask your question. But in the meantime, I will be doing
You
that.
just
I'm going
answered
to.
it, didn't you?
Oh, oh yeah, okay, that was the question. Never
What
mind.
was that? Did you watch the Scream themed TV show?
Yeah, see, there we go. So you steered me into that. Uh, anyways, thank you everybody for watching. This has been fun. I'm gonna be doing these every Sunday morning, just breaking down what's going on, or every Monday morning, breaking down The Last of Us and giving our thoughts. Number 3 is gonna be interesting because that's gonna be, I could tell, the biggest change from the game. So I'm gonna be interested to see how everybody reacts to that because there's going to be opinions. I think we're going to be in the same minority, but yeah, because they're going to get a lot into Bill and PB. Bill's gay, so there's going to be
Oh no! The
not only
wokeness.
not only is he gay, but he's also anti-government. Keep in mind,
Oh,
this was
no! Wait, what?
yeah, this was in the original game. He's one of those conspiracy theory nut jobs.
Is
So
it
he's anti.
is it a theory though?
That's what's interesting about his character because he does actually call something like this happening, but we'll get there when we get there because I don't know how much they're going to change it up. But they got the perfect guy to play him. I don't think his performance will be an issue if there's anything. Like, he's pretty spot on. Even his voice, if you told me he was Bill in the game, like the voice too, I would 100% believe you because even his voice sounds just like the character in the game. It's fucking creepy. I don't know if he already had these cast ideas in his head. Like, you know how you fantasy cast, like, if I made a movie out of this, this would be who I would choose to act
Yep.
the character. I wonder if he had that list and he just fucking called up everybody on there once they got like an award-winning director who everybody would jump at the chance to be on a show like this.
Sure.
Okay, now, well, can I get Tom Cruise? No, he's a little bit too high. But I can get Ron Swanson, and he looks pretty damn close without the makeup.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I've seen episodes where Ron grew out his beard, and I was like, oh yeah, this totally tracks. All they did was they put gray in it. That was it. That's probably
Did they put gray in it, or did he just stop dyeing it?
I mean, that could be a thing too. I don't know.
They're like, we'll cast you, but you can't be dyeing your beard no more.
I mean, but I know you'll be happy because there'll be two epic beards. You know, the one off
Oh
screen.
yeah,
and then-
kindred spirits.
Yeah, that's like Bill's like your spirit animal.
Kind of. He's
So
a funny
anyways,
motherfucker. That's for goddamn sure. He better be funny in this episode.
oh, I think just from the little sneak peek we got, I think he's going to definitely be a good choice for this role. I'd show you guys the sneak peek if Warner Bros. Wasn't a bunch of dicks and pulled everybody down. I would definitely show you next week's episode because funny enough, I got a copyright claim for when I showed. I don't know what I showed on our first one, but
Oh yeah,
I got
that.
copy. Yeah, when I showed the preview, that it took them a while, but then it was like Morning Kills copyright claimed, and I was like, oh, Warner Bros. Inc. Like, it's like, guys, I'm giving you good reviews, okay? If I'm giving you a negative review, I understand, but come on,
Dude,
get it
the
together.
review is an average of a 9.
I know, but
Averaged 9.
so far, I mean, we might have a straight, like, damn near perfect series. I'm super excited. I can't wait till
I
next.
don't know what they have to like. I probably would have said 9.5 if they went to bed lighting and stepped on the glass.
Yeah, yeah. And I was there with you. Like, there was just a few little things, and that's fine because nothing is perfect. There's stuff that's close to perfect, but nothing is. I mean, we had issues with Andor, and that was damn near perfect for us too. So, I mean,
This show might be a little better. I mean, the only thing like Andor is always going to score points because it's Star Wars. Like I have no investment in The Last of Us.
whereas I have beaten both games, and I've beaten the first game. I only beat the second game once. I've beaten the first game multiple times.
Yeah, we
which I
don't
actually
need to
win.
talk about anything that you beat.
So anyways, thank you very much. And everybody remember that on Monday mornings kill.
Oh my god, that was terrible. You gotta do that better.